I'm going to show you all how to take your bird from all put together like this into a beautiful feather art mount like this. First off, you're going to want to skin it.
So what you're going to want to do is split down through here across the breast, split down this side same way, meet it up in the middle, and then just skin them up. And then you're going to cut the fan off before you do any of this. And you'll have to snap the wings off. And when you do, so if you do like a full body mount, you're going to want to keep the thighs in it, but you don't need the thighs for this. You can just snip off the feet whenever you get it skinned out and ready for it.
There's a lot better videos to show you how to skin out a bird into a full body mount. I'm just kind of giving you the basis for what you're going to need to do a feather art mount. And yeah.
So this is kind of what that looks like once you've got the legs split and you got the tail cut off. And when you're skinning down through here, you'll just eventually hit where you cut that tail off and there'll be a little hole in there. But that's perfectly fine. And then when you get up to the wings, I'll probably show you that. I'll have to break them and cut them off. But you're just going to skin them up to the head like you're doing a tube skin. You can hang him by his feet if you wanted to. I'm probably just going to leave him lie here in the back of the truck because, I mean, I've got string to do it, but we'll see. Alright, so I got them up here. You can see the bone here. This is the wing bone. I peeled the meat back off of it. I skinned it up as far as I could. And if I would have remembered my wire pliers, I would just snip the wing off right here and I'd be good to go. But I forgot my wire pliers, so I'm going to figure out how to break that. And then you'll take the wing off and then you just skin them up the rest of the way.
I lied. I ended up actually just cutting the joint there where the wing attaches to the body at and doing it that way.
Now, unlike a full body mount, you don't have to take it clear up to the top of the head. You don't need those feathers right there at the very end of it.
Here's what that skin looks like off the bird. I'd love to do a mount with just the skin like this, but that's not a full body mount, and I'm sure I'll figure it out someday, but till then, that's what we've got. All right, now you got to get that skin all cleaned up and get all the blood and dirt and grime and everything else that's in them feathers off. And you might not think your bird's that dirty, but just watch how much the color of this water changes from the start to the finish here. Now, your feathers are going to clump up just a little bit in there when you're going to try and break it apart. Mostly what I'm doing is you just see me pushing it down, and I just keep bobbing it kind of in the water, getting all those feathers soaked up. And now you got to do the same thing with the tail. Just get it wet, break the feathers apart, and try and clean up all that dirt and grime and blood. Also, again, look at how dirty that water is. You didn't think that bird was dirty, but I'm telling you, it's a lot nastier than you think. It's all that dusting they do to, keep bugs off of them and everything else.
And then once you've got it out, you're going to hang it up. I've just got mine on a tripod right now that I can blow out all these feathers on, and then your tail will look a little bit something like this. And you need to tactically acquire a hairdryer, and then you'll just start blowing it out.
This might look super quick, but it actually took like 2.5 hours, so I just got sped up a lot. Here's that skin and all those feathers cleaned up, and you can really see kind of the shine in it right now. You don't have that before you wash it, so that's why it's so important to wash it and blow dry it out. All right, now for the part that you guys are all here for, how to actually mount this bird. You're going to put your fan and wings down. Make sure to outline them on your board. This board is 72 by 30. I would not suggest doing that. I would do 72 by 26 just because I almost ran out of feathers on this. When you start your backing, just go from that center line and use the feathers from the neck and start going outwards. The really important part is to just make sure you don't jump from like the neck feathers to mid-back because there's a lot of difference. They have black tips on them, and those black tips progressively get bigger, and as they progressively get bigger, they also get darker, so you don't want that jump in color.
All right, so when it comes to laying these down, you're going to pluck out each feather one by one, and then you're going to snip them all, and I'll show you that, and then I'll show you how to lay them down. So where you're wanting to cut these at, if you're looking, is kind of right where that fuzz ends and the feather starts clumping together. I don't know if you can see that, but right in there. And it just takes all this fuzzy off, and it just leaves you this nice little, back that up so you can see it. That nice little piece right there. And then you just want to do that with all your feathers, and then you'll lay them down. Right, so
just a second, and then I'll show you how to lay them down. And you can leave a little bit of the fuzzy part on it. This feather's all messed up, so I'm gonna cut it a little high, but you can leave a little bit of that fuzzy part on it, but you don't want to leave like this full base part, because if you do that, it starts to create texture and it'll make a hump in your mount. So that's why I started snipping the backs of these feathers off and just using, because the only really colorful part that you can see when you see a normal bird, you see like the glare and the shine in that, that's all that you're laying down that you want to be able to see once these feathers are, you know, set down and glued down. But yeah, so I'm using the Gorilla Spray Adhesive Super Duty, or Heavy Duty, but you could also use a glue gun. I've seen people using glue guns on to do this, but that works out just fine, and it's pretty quick, and it lays it down with a feather. You know, it's not just held on. It's not just held on by like this little bit down here with a glob of glue on it. It's got, you know, the full back of it is glued down. So I'm gonna change your angle real quick so you can see me lay these down. Okay, so to lay those feathers down, using the Gorilla Spray Adhesive, and just throw down yourself a nice good line, and then I usually dab my finger just a little bit, and I'll pick up just a little piece of feather right there, and you're gonna lay it down where the color kind of ends right here, and just set it down. Peel your finger off a little bit, grab your next one, and now you want to keep your black, like these black lines at the ends of your feathers, you want to line them up as best you can. It just gives it a little bit cleaner of a look when you do that. And you just keep laying them down one at a time until you get this big old back basing built up. And this is definitely just the most labor intensive part of doing this, is these little bitty feathers. The wings and tail fan, they go by quick, they're easy. You just gotta make sure when you're doing the wings that you watch how the feathers would lay in naturally on the wing, so that when you lay them down on the backboard, it looks more like a wing and just not like a pile of feathers, you know what I'm saying? And anyways, that is how I lay all these. And you just keep doing it, rinse, wash, and repeat, and you'll start getting this backboard area built up. And this is what takes the longest. Again, it's just, you know, it's time consuming because you got to do each and every one of these. Another thing to note before you do this mount, this did take me 15 hours on this one. The last one I did was about 12 hours though. All right, so we have gotten to the tail. I just marked where every one of them feathers is going to lay in at, and then I left this little space down here because that's where my frame's gonna go. And for each of the feathers, I just cut them off kind of as close to the base as I could there, and then just laid them out, marked them up, and you wanna make sure you're gonna have just a little bit of a step up in most of these feathers. You see what I'm talking about from the black line? It just goes up just a little bit, and you get that in almost all of them till you get to kind of here in the center, and then they almost even out. But yeah, I'm gonna glue all this down, and then I'll show you all the wings when I get there. And that is what that tail is gonna look like laid down. Also, you see these little white spots you can see through? That's this board behind it, and a smart man would spray paint it black before they do this, but I didn't. So what I've been doing is just coming through with a Sharpie and filling all those in, and it ends up, if you look at it from a distance, like you can't hardly notice that one when you look at it unless I pull it back and point it out where it's at to you. But you know, it makes it where you don't notice them as much. I got all those feathers laid down, and now I'm just snipping off the bases of them so that it doesn't, I don't need that feather. You aren't going to see that because it's going to be covered up by this next set of feathers, and you don't want that. You don't want a hump, or you don't want texture in it. You just want this to lay flat against the board. And you're going to do the same thing with your next row of feathers. At the bottom of it, you can see there they stack in just a little bit, and you'll see that when you're taking your tail fan apart too. But just glue them down and then start pulling some of those feathers off the back, lay them in there. You're snipping off the tips of them, or the fuzzy parts of them, just like you're doing with all the base feathers that go around it. And now I'm going to go back to finishing out this backboard. I am using the tail feathers with the white tips on them because it's a Merriam. I don't know that I would do that again. It really, you can kind of see through it a little bit more, and I don't like that look as much as I thought I would. But yeah, I was going to run out of feathers, so this is kind of what I had to do. I ended up actually stealing a few off of, I shot a Rio Grande this weekend, and I stole some of his feathers and did it. But the wings, I'll stop somewhere in here and show you, the important part, but you're just looking to make sure they're layered together correctly, and yeah. All right, now we're at the wings. The only thing you really need to watch for on the wing is how the feathers are layered. So like these bigger ones are going to come in first, then these ones are going to come in, and then you'll get over here to these brown ones and they start coming down, to smaller and smaller so that it looks more similar to this. And you just have to make sure you keep that layer going, and then you do your shiny ones, right? And you'll layer those in, and there's usually a brown one that'll pop out still at the end of it. And then you'll throw in all of these, and there's 3 different sets for these big ones up here. You've got your big ones, you've got a little bit smaller ones, and then you've got even smaller ones, and then I just layered these in real slow. And that's, when you're doing the wings, it's the same thing you've been doing the entire time for the rest of this bird. You just have to really pay attention to how it actually layers together. And on this bird, these ones were on top. And on the last bird I did, these feathers were on top. So it might just be a flip of a coin which side is going to be first. But yeah, just make sure you pay attention when you're laying those down. All right, so we are at the wings. The only thing you really need to pay attention to for this is how it layers in together. Say like these bigger ones are going to go under these ones, which are then going to have the colorful ones on them, and then these are going to have the smaller sets of these striped feathers on them. And you just have to really pay attention to how it's layered. I also snipped off the base of these, so that they're still pretty long. And then on these ones, I broke them, so that the feather would lay just a little bit flatter. And I've still got, you can see there's a bow on this one pretty good still, but they're laid down relatively flat. And back to the layers, just get your big ones, and you get your second row of these these black and white ones, and you got your last row of them, and then you throw in your colorful ones and your really shiny ones, and making sure these don't layer where you're seeing just a little bit of this feather. Trying to start from this way and go this way. You want to start this way and come this direction so that you've got where you can see just the right side of the feather, I guess. So just really pay attention to what you're doing when you take the wing apart. Now I'm just going to finish out this wing and be done with the mount. If y'all enjoyed this or learned something from this, or this helps you, to do a mount like this on your own, it'd be awesome if you give me a like. And here's what it looks like when you're done. You can see all the shine in those feathers, and if you put this in sunlight, it almost just glows back at you. So yeah, thank y'all for watching.